We're in for a treat with this one. Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess K. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 2 of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. The first episode last week was so good. It was such a great start, and definitely very different than Full Metal Alchemist, but in a good way. We shouldn't expect everything by Hiromu Arakawa to be, the same. And this starts off in a very interesting way. We're introduced to our character Yuru, who is a, I wouldn't call him a farmhand, but he's a villager. He's part of this village. He's able to hunt and gather, and he seems to really, be on good terms with pretty much everyone here. He has a best friend. He has a sister who mysteriously is locked in a cage. And he seems to be just living life. But one day, everything kind of goes topsy-turvy when a barrier surrounding the village is destroyed, causing the reveal that, those dragon trails they saw in the sky? Yeah, those are airplanes. There are helicopters and guns, because this takes place in at least a semi-modern world. And that is a great twist. Obviously, this takes place in the modern day. Twist has been done before. I think I compared it to The Village last time, which, if you haven't seen, is a movie where that's the big twist. And I don't really think that's a spoiler at this point, because that movie's known for that twist. And on top of it, it's one of the most talked about twists ever. Some people not really liking it, and others actually really liking it. I'm on the latter side. I actually really like the twist for that one. But it's a twist that's been done before here and there. And I like it. I think it's a fun idea. Going into this knowing nothing as well made me completely unaware of anything in regards to that. I did not expect guns or any kind of technology. They have cell phones. It has to be at least mostly modern day, considering they have fucking cell phones, and they didn't look like old Nokias or something like that. They were modern smartphones. So this has to be probably at least within the 2010s. But this village has been intentionally isolated, and we don't know the reasons, but it's very clear that this was fully intentional. We know that Yuru and Asa's parents left at some point. We don't know exactly when, and we don't know why. But we actually find out that the Asa that we thought we knew and that Yuru thought he knew was never his sister. She was a scapegoat. And I don't know if she knew that or not. That's not clear. But the case is that she was not the real Asa. One of these invaders who comes in and starts killing everybody in the village, in some pretty gruesome, horrifying ways, by the way. One of them is Asa, this tall lady with the eye patch. And we know she and Yuru are twins, so they're both 16. She's just really tall, which is not like entirely uncommon. I've met teenagers who are like taller than me, and I'm 6 foot. Like, I have met teenagers, like 14, 15 years old, who are huge. It's like, I have no idea how that happened, but it happens. It occurs occasionally. Sometimes people just get really fucking tall. Um, but yeah. So we see that she's apparently like really excited to be there to get Yuru. They're trying to capture Yuru alive. Everyone else is free game to kill. But it's very clear that the elder of the village knew about all of this, because we're pretty much explicitly told that the elder knew about the barrier, knew that they were there to get Yuru. Hell, even the merchant guy, I can't remember his name right now, but even he knew about it. He had a cell phone. He is proficient in gun use. He was just ready for that shit. He just goes right into action mode the instant shit goes down and works on saving Yuru. But we also meet this character named Gabby, another one of the invaders. Gabby is spunky, we'll say. She has personality. I've actually heard the Japanese version, and she kind of has an almost uwu voice, which is kind of fitting, but I kind of like the more laid back, kind of lazy sound to her voice in the dub. Though, like, I just prefer the dub voices in general, having heard the sub now. Um, it's one of those cases where it is like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where it's like, it's just one of those series that is just going to be insurmountably better in dub. The dub is so well done, and the voices fit just a little bit more. It's not as, the sub is not as like weak comparatively as the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood sub was compared to its dub, because I really am not a huge fan of the sub for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, by the way. Especially for characters like Ed. I like, I think her name is Romy Park, the VA for Ed. I like her in other things, just not as Edward Elric. But it's other voices as well I just can't get behind, comparative to the dub especially. With this one, it's a lot closer. The dub, or the original sub, is not as bad. It's not as, like, a lot of the voices aren't as ill-fitting to the characters. But it's still a case where I do genuinely believe the dub is just far superior still. So it's just gonna be one of those where it's like, if you don't like the dub, it's like, and you don't want to watch it because of that, then don't watch it. I mean, I'm watching the dub because I think the dub for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is one of the best, like, voice casts in anything. And because this is by Hiromu Arakawa, there's almost this, how do I put it? Almost a logical sense of, like, I need to, because it's a Hiromu Arakawa series, I need to watch it in dub. It's like it's like if you watch a series by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball. It's like the Dragon Ball dub is so aggressively superior to the sub that it's like, it just feels wrong to watch anything by Akira Toriyama in sub, which is why I watch Sandland in dub when I watch that. And it's the same thing with, like, a Hayao Miyazaki film, a Studio Ghibli film. You have to watch it in dub because the dub is just always better. It just always is. And so it's like, you just have to. But then there's some shows where the sub is better. It just depends on the show. Hell, I'd even say probably most anime I would prefer the sub. But there are some cases where I will go with dub, and this is one of them. And if you don't like that, I mean, you're allowed your opinion, you're allowed to have your views on it, but it's not going to change mine. So, sorry. But yeah, I'm very excited because we saw, going back to Gabby real quick, we saw that Gabby was killing people by like doing a hand motion and saying gobble gobble, which was later revealed to be like her commanding a couple of Daemons. Actually, it wasn't. It was actually something I didn't catch in my initial viewing, but she actually referred to the Daemons, the big teethy thing, as like as multiple beings. She actually referred to them in the plural. And so it's very clear. I guess the upper half of the mouth and the lower half are two separate demons that are daemons rather, that combine to create one being in a way. I wonder if left and right are going to have a similar vibe to that as well. Because left and right are at the very end of of episode 1 revealed to be Yuru's demons. Left and right are the guardian deity statues of the village and are revealed to be actual daemons. And they both seem to have these like flaming cat-like forms. I don't know if I'd say lion or tiger or anything specific yet. But they also have humanoid forms. And left is voiced by Colleen Clinkenbeard, who, if you don't know, is one of the most prolific VAs in dubbed anime. She's Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece. She's Riza Hawkeye in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Momo Yaoyorozu in My Hero Academia. And so much else. She's just a massive name. There's too many to name here, especially off the top of my head. But I'm so glad to hear her back in a Hiromu Arakawa project. And I'm hoping that her role as left ends up being just as interesting, likable, and exciting of a character as Riza Hawkeye was in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. So, yeah. I'm very excited to see what we get into next. I don't know if we'll find out all of the information yet, all of the reveals, all of the lore, but I'm hoping that Yuru at least learns something, because he's kind of been just thrown into the deep end of everything, and shit's just, it's so much for him to handle without any information. But that being said, I think we should get into this, not waste any more time. So let's check out this episode and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So like I was thinking, we didn't find out everything this episode. We only found out like kind of a brief view of it. But it's being made more and more clear that Asa, Gabby, their entire side are not necessarily the bad guys here. It very much seems to be kind of the case that there's, I'm not going to say like a misunderstanding or something, but there's like a very big difference of viewpoints here. We know that 10 years ago, Asa and Yuru's parents left with Asa. And we don't know the entire reason why, but after that happened, the village chief and I guess those in charge like basically made it so that there would be a fake Asa to keep Yuru there. And that he would not want to leave, meaning there's probably a reason. And it definitely has to do with with what they were like talking about in the first episode, with like the twins sundering day and night. Maybe there's some kind of prophecy and they're meant to be like kept away from each other, or there can be like some kind of like massive cataclysm or something like that. That seems like the most obvious go-to. I don't like Hiromu Arakawa tends to take things, at least based off of Full Metal Alchemist. She tends to take ideas and concepts that can be very easily understood and adds a lot of depth to them. Adds a lot of like intense emotional realism and like strong, powerful like layers, to where it's like it elevates the overall otherwise simple content. Because when you really think about a lot about Full Metal Alchemist is very simple. It's a very simple series in a lot of ways, but it's elevated through the emotional and lore-based depth that Hiromu Arakawa added into it. And all of these different plot lines coming together in these like fantastic, like beautifully written ways. It's one of the biggest strengths of the series. And so far with this one, it seems to be very similar. It's a very simplistic story at its base level, but it's about the depth and intrigue and mystery elements that are adding more to it. Not to mention, just the good character writing, the dialogue, the voice acting, the, art and animation from Studio Bones, the score. It's everything kind of coming together and working out in a way that makes it even more interesting. On top of, again, Hiromu Arakawa's added depth and layers of, like, character, even to just the story and the settings and whatnot. There's so much to it. And there's like a lot you can infer, like off of very little. Asa breaking down in tears because her brother is alive. You can infer a lot from that. Not just that, oh, she's happy that her brother's alive. Like, that's the base level. But you can infer through that and through all the other information we've gotten that she didn't know if he was alive. That she was so scared that she had probably been, like, staying awake at night, maybe even crying herself to sleep over this fear. For 10 whole years? It's like, that's insane. That's genuinely insane. On top of it, you can see that, like, this is something that Gabby clearly knew about, with Gabby, like, comforting her in that. It's something that Gabby clearly understands her pain and her sorrow and her fear for. And it shows how close these two are with just, again, that little head pat. It shows that these two are exceptionally close, and it's the reason why I, said, I'm kind of shipping them already. Not just because, they're close, because obviously people can be friends, but I don't know. It's like it's giving me a vibe. And sometimes that vibe is wrong. Sometimes I'm just, stretching. Because, Princess of Gay, have to support the gay ships. But sometimes, and a lot of time, I actually do tend to call things. Either when there's little hints there, but not full confirmation, or even if it's just a fan thing, where it's like, oh, I ship these characters and find out that, oh yeah, everyone ships these characters. It's extremely common. In fact, it'd be almost weird if you didn't. That has happened plenty of times. And I like that, because it shows that the writing is informing this kind of thing. Even if nothing is confirmed within the canon, the writing is close enough that so many people can come to the same conclusion. And it's just another example of the strength of the level of mangaka that Hiromu Arakawa is. She's one of the best, and already this series is proving to be another example of that. Um, Obviously, the episode was named for Left and Right, so we got to see more of them, got to see more of their personalities. Right is very rambunctious. He's very wild, but he's also very good natured. You saw when he was taking care of the kids in the village, he was very gentle with them and very caring. He tried to reassure the one girl before she passed out again, and he was being very friendly and kind to her. And it's like, it shows that he's a genuinely good natured guy. He's just, he has a shit ton of energy and he loves to fight. That doesn't mean he's bad, doesn't mean he's like overly aggressive to the point of being dangerous to, those who are weaker or more vulnerable. It just means that he has a lot of energy. Left, on the other hand, is very stoic, very serious. Not necessarily in a bad way, because we see like when they're on top of the car and everything, and everyone's revering. I don't remember the name, but the moon goddess. Which, by the way, it seems like all of the gods, daemons, all of these spirits, we'll say as like a blanket term, maybe, all come in pairs. We have left and right. We have the moon goddess and the horse. We have the upper and lower jaw of Gabby's gobble gobble monster. Which I don't care what the thing's name is. I will always call them the gobble gobble monster because it's fucking adorable and hilarious. But it's like they always come in pairs. So we see a couple other daemons in the opening. Like there looked like one that was like an anglerfish or something. I'm wondering what the pairing is there. Maybe one's the fish, maybe one is the angler part. I don't know. There could be a number of ways these combine, and I'm very curious to see how Hiroma Arakawa works the daemons into things, because the daemons already are very clearly notably different than the likes of Chimera and Homunculi and stuff in Full Metal Alchemist. It's a very different type of creature, a very different type of being. Even if the Gobble Gobble monster looks a lot like Pride, one of the main homunculi from Fullmetal Alchemist, again, very, very different in terms of actually how they work, and again, the entire pairing system, and I'm very curious to learn more about that. I'm kind of wondering if our two sides here, the group that Asa and Gabby are with, and the group that Dara and now Yuru and Hana are with. I wonder if these two sides are going to be at like opposing ends at first, but end up coming together to face some bigger enemy down the line. I could absolutely see that. I'm wondering, like, because they're obviously at odds right now, and they're going to be at odds for a while, but I'm very curious to see if they end up coming together. Because I've seen plenty of series do that kind of thing too. Hell, to some degree, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood does that. You have like some one-time enemies joining forces with the heroes at points. Like Scar ends up joining forces with Ed and them. You have Greeling and everyone. It's just like, yeah, you see that quite a bit in Brotherhood. So I wonder if we'll see that here. And I'm just very interested to obviously see what more these daemons can do. Left and right especially. Obviously, we're endeared to them right off the bat because they're Yuru's demons. I'm gonna say demons a lot, by the way. I know it's like officially pronounced daemons, but I'm going to say demons a lot. So I apologize. I'll try to correct myself as much as I can. But I like that Yuru isn't like ordering them around. You know what it kind of reminds me of, and this is going to sound maybe a little weird, but it kind of reminds me of Disney's Aladdin, specifically the Disney version, I want to make clear. It kind of reminds me of how Aladdin never treats Genie like, like a magical being just there for wishes. But Aladdin always treats Genie as a person and even frees him by the end of the first movie. It's actually a very important thing that Aladdin sees him as someone worthy of respect and equal treatment. when Genie makes it very clear that he's always just been a servant to previous masters. And so it kind of reminds me of that because Yuru makes it very clear that he's not going to order them around. He'll make requests and everything and he'll work with them, but he's not going to order them around. He even basically says it's like I'm not going to think of myself that highly. I'm not going to see myself as being above you. I don't have that level of ego. And so he's like, he's going to work with them. He says, I'll make requests every now and again, but otherwise, like, you can act on your own will. You are your own people. Do what you want. And they want to help him. They want to serve him. And so they're going to, like, align with him. Their wills and his will connect. It's just that he's giving them that freedom that they might have never been given before. Because it's mentioned that, like, they've had masters before. Because Yuru's being referred to as their new master. So they've had masters in the past. I wonder if Yuru and Asa's parents maybe had control of them at some point. Or maybe their grandparents or something like that. Somewhere down the line, maybe. But yeah, it's made pretty clear that this seems to be, like, pretty new to them as well. Just the fact that they're not being ordered around and all seems to, like almost catch them off guard. But that's absolutely Yuru. Yuru's not that kind of person. And I like that there's that consistency between both this and Full Metal Alchemist with Hiromu Arakawa's works. Both of her main characters in these works, Yuru in this and Edward Elric in FMA, are genuinely good people who never see themselves as being above others on like a just general, like, normal absolute basis. They see themselves as the flawed human individuals they are. It's actually a very important part of Edward's character that he doesn't have that level of ego. In fact, honestly, a lot of the times he's kind of self-hating. But Yuru seems very similar. And not, like, in a way to where it's like, oh, it's just the same character again. No, it's very much not. He is very much not like Edward. But in terms of this one thing, they share that trait of just, like, genuine, good-natured humanity. And I think that's, it almost feels like that's probably an important trait for Arakawa to give her characters. Which is entirely fair and reasonable. I think that's fantastic, honestly. It also seems very on brand for Arakawa for this series to have a sibling dynamic, because that was so important to Full Metal Alchemist, obviously, with Edward and Alphonse. But even to a degree, like, Winry had a similar bond to them as well. And we're seeing here that the connection between Yuru and Asa is very important to the story, like, detrimentally important to the story. Though they don't have that instant connection that the likes of, like, Ed and Al do. Because Ed and Al grew up with each other while these two were split up 10 years in the past when they were only 6 years old. Or 7, according to the village's calendar, I guess. Which, yeah, I'm guessing that's just, like, they start in the village. They start aging at, like, 1 year old when they're born instead of 0, and that's why he thinks he's 17 instead of 16. I guess it's just a difference of viewpoint on that. That's not that big a deal. But yeah, and I also love that Yuru is mentioned as being, like, shorter than Asa because of being stuck in this village and everything. It kind of just made me think of how the short thing was always a running joke and always a little character trait for Ed in Full Metal Alchemist. This very much feels like a play on that, except clearly, Yuru doesn't really care. He's not, like, upset by being called short like, Ed was in FMA. He was just, like, noticing how tall Asa was, and she is extremely tall. She is a tall woman. Um, but yeah, she's just tall for her age. It's just simply that. It's not unusual, but yeah. But I'm very curious to see more of where this goes with the lore, because again, we've only gotten little hints of it here. Um, but with that flashback we saw that Yuru's father was very caring towards him and even showed him about the hidden passageway. So we know that when his parents left with Asa, the real Asa, there has to have been a very big reason, and I'm still thinking there might be some kind of prophecy. But the fact that this takes place in modern day is still wild, and that this village was that isolated to a degree to where it's like it's stuck in, like, I wouldn't say ancient times, but times long past. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting, and I'm really excited for the fish out of water stuff we're going to see with Yuru. We already saw a tiny bit of it with the car, which was hilarious, by the way, trying to figure out the car, and Hana getting, like, just super annoyed and saying, like, this thing has horses in it, it moves. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It does not make any sense. Dara trying to explain it, like, he was actually explaining it much better. But the difference is Dara was trying to explain it in a way that someone who had never seen that level of technology or even anything close would never understand in that quick of a time. The way that Hana explained it makes absolutely no sense and is not correct. But it's easier um for Yuru, and I guess left and right as well, to understand in the moment. It's simpler. And right now, and right at that moment they needed simple. But I like that the last thing I'll mention is I like that the spirits have different levels to them. Like, there are some that are just straight up fucking gods. Like the again, the moon goddess and the horse. Sorry, I can't remember their names. But then there are some that are more like combat types. Gabby's Gobble Gobble monster was called a combat type, I believe. And again, they always come in pairs. I wonder if you could mix and match them. That would be fascinating. Like, imagine using half of the Gobble Gobble monster with, like, right, like him wielding it like some kind of weapon. That would be fascinating. Now I'm genuinely kind of wondering if you can mix and match them, and if that's going to come into play. Do not tell me anything, by the way. I feel like this goes without saying, but just to be safe, no spoilers. I am very into this series already. I am extremely into this already. Which is not a surprise at all, considering I consider Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood to be one of the greatest shows ever made. Not just in terms of anime, but period. Possibly the greatest. So it's not a surprise that, like, something else made by Hiromu Arakawa would also be this damn good and this damn interesting right off the bat. So yeah. No spoilers, obviously. But let me know what you thought of episode 2, and thank you as always so much for tuning in. Um, Thank you so much. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.